3-4 साल में मार्केट में इतना हो जाता है कि मतलब
Correct.
तो nothing is stable here kind of. India is still very scared of money. India wants to make money, but they somehow don't know how to grow it. That I think is one problem that we all need to address.
Mhm.
Money is still a big stigma in our society to
Mhm.
talk about money. Even 1,000 rupees is worth investing.
Mhm.
एंड है तो बेसिक मैथ्स बट कभी कोई एक्सेल
Mhm.
पे जाके करता नहीं है कि हाउ
Mhm.
कंपाउंडिंग वर्क्स how much something can be after 20-30 years, because nobody's thinking about 20-30 years later. So it's not about how much you are investing, it's how consistently you are investing. It doesn't matter कि 1,000 रुपए इन्वेस्ट करें या 5,000 रुपए करें या 5 लाख करें, ऑब्वियसली उससे तुम्हारे टोटल कॉर्पस पे फर्क पड़ेगा, but compounding works on any number, and it kind of works on zero also. So if it's zero, then you end up with zero.
Listeners, welcome back to another episode of Economically Yours. Today, I have with me Mr. Dhruv Bhatia, who is a personal finance coach and has a huge fan following on all social media platforms. Dhruv comes from a very diversified background, if I have to say so. His portfolio is as diversified as ideally recommended for any finance professional. So he's a CA, but he's co-founded ZEVO, which is an electrical vehicle driven logistics and warehousing company. We'll talk about it in details as we progress through the episode. He's a personal financial planner and he helps people get their finances sorted basically so that they are in sync with proper planning of their own savings and investments. He's also an investor and a trader in the stock market since the last 10 years, which is a phenomenal number. And I think I myself have been in the stock markets for like 3 to 4 years, and I think I have seen so much in the last 3, 4 years. I don't know about what must have you witnessed over the last 10 years. So I'd love to discuss that as we progress. So yeah, apart from these ventures, he's worked in the audit and investment banking domains as well. So Dhruv, if I have to hand over the floor to you, can you like start? I realize that you have had 10 years of your professional life, right? And how has that journey been so far, and what has made you progress or switch professions so much, and what has made you reach or land in this personal finance space today where you are acing at today? So welcome on board, and I'm delighted to host you, and I'd love to hear about you from you to begin with.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction, Charmi. A bit exaggerated, but we'll go with that, I think. So, I mean, it is kind of crazy that, it has been like, when you say it like that, it hits you that it has been 10 years. But I mean, when you're kind of going through it, I don't think you realize it that much. Still, I think I would say, it all started with me pursuing child accountancy, and everything is kind of connected to that. So you're engrossed in something, and, it takes a lot of effort from your side. And obviously, I started working first right out of college with Grant Thornton, which was my articleship basically for child accountancy. And, that kept going. And after 2 or 3 years of doing that, I wanted to switch. So first, I cleared my child accountancy. Then, alongside that, I, kind of switched to a mid-sized firm where I would have more responsibilities, some exposure to different work profiles like tax. And then once I cleared my chartered accountancy, I made the switch to something more, transaction oriented in the investment
Mm,
banking space. As far as kind of the stock market is concerned, that has kind of
mm,
been constant, you know,
mm.
and it's something that I delved into myself. Nobody kind of forced me to. And
Sorry to interrupt, but I you have a very intriguing intro on your LinkedIn profile. It says you had a coffee date back in 2013 and you've mentioned some colors. If you could, start that journey in that manner only, I think that'd be interesting to hear.
so, what happens usually is that when people think about stock market, anybody enters stock market, they want to do it with I mean, their main idea is let me make a quick buck out of it. I
Yeah.
want to make a quick profit out of it. I want to do this with my money. I want to double my money.
Hmm.
That is how the general consensus goes around it. So, कि मैं बस थोड़ा सा पैसा कमा लूँ इस चीज से।
Hmm.
अब मैं कहीं और से पैसा कमा रहा हूँ बट मेरे को इसको डबल करना है, मुझे
Hmm.
इसको ट्रिपल करना है. And that is how I also entered into it. I was just like, oh, maybe I'll put all my money into this stock and it'll double. And that never kind of happens. Like, and then, if I mean, most of the people would have entered with this, idea in the stock market, but it never obviously happens.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with me. मेरे को भी अपने पैसे बस जल्दी से डबल करना. I
21
was
दिन में पैसा डबल.
I was
Yeah.
21 or 20 enjoying my life in Delhi University, but I
Hmm.
wanted my money to double in
Hmm.
as
Hmm.
few days as possible.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
everybody enters with that. Obviously, you fall flat on your face someday
Hmm. Hmm.
because even if you have some sort of beginner's luck, it doesn't sustain.
Yeah.
As you yourself said कि 3-4 साल में ही market में इतना हो जाता है कि मतलब
Correct.
तो nothing is stable here, kind of.
Hmm.
So I kind of started with that, obviously lost a lot of my capital doing
Hmm.
stupid mistakes. Everybody does. And kind of mistakes are what teaches you, I think, in this stock market actually is perfect for that, analogy that it kind of teaches you the hard way.
Hmm.
And then you kind of get discouraged. So I mean, after failure, you kind of leave something for a while.
Hmm.
I also was just like, maybe this is not for me. But then at some point of time, एक वो कीड़ा लग जाता है that you want
Hmm.
to decode something which kind of backfired on you or which kind of defeated you. So I delved very deep into it, and this happened alongside like the general things that were happening. So this was about that in the sense that I kind of then when I kind of delved a lot deeper into it, I started helping people, with their finances, with the planning around their finances, with kind of exploring how to choose the right investment. And
Hmm.
it started with, me just helping my friends do it. And फिर धीरे धीरे धीरे, word of mouth or whatever you may call it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now I kind of help all sorts of people do it. So I mean, I'm lucky to be in this position, I'm grateful for it. So that's about it. I mean, then as far as, ZEVO is concerned,
Hmm.
so it started by me with two of my best friends who are
Okay.
also chartered accountants, and
Okay.
we did our chartered accountancy together. And sometime in last couple of years, it just came up when we were starting to think to start something of our own. So and then I mean, we started with some other idea, but we somehow landed up here because I mean, let's say the industry aligned, the stars aligned, or whatever you would call it, and it's going good. I mean, it's a fun way of kind of being on the other side of the table. So it has its own challenges. It's kind of very new, but I think we're having fun, and that's
But
what's
what is ZEVO? Like, walk us through that if you can, please.
so. In a nutshell, ZEVO means zero emission vehicle operations, and we use the electric vehicles to
Okay.
provide logistical solutions and now warehousing also to our clients. We mainly deal in three-wheelers, so not two-wheelers
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
And we provide three-wheelers with drivers, of course. Clients, let's say it can be Big Basket, it can be Zomato, it can be Amazon,
Hmm.
and they
Hmm.
use us for their mid-mile logistics or last mile also. So it's B2B or B2B2C,
Hmm.
as you say.
Hmm.
And I mean, that's about it in a
Okay.
nutshell.
And I heard, I recently figured out that you all just raised funding for the same, right?
We
So
did raise
how
funding.
did that pan out?
I mean, it was a journey. I mean, getting funding. I mean, we had no idea how it's supposed to be.
Hmm.
So it obviously took like some time. It took like 6-7 months to materialize, and the whole process was big. I mean,
Hmm.
it was kind
Hmm.
of long. And
Hmm.
but as I said, at some point you have to. I mean, For growth, funding is important. And we've been lucky that, I mean, if you see the proportion of startups in India that are funded versus non-funded, difference is huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do consider ourselves very lucky and grateful that we are in this position that, we could get funded. So we're very happy about it in a nutshell.
Nice, nice. Okay. Coming back to a mutual date, which is the stock markets and the equity markets. You said that, you started off with, say, helping your friends sort out their finances and then family, and, it just passed on. So, how has that journey been? How do you think, how is India positioned today when it comes to sorting out personal finances, if I have to put it very crudely?
India is still very scared of money. India wants to make money, but they somehow don't know how to grow it. That I think is one problem that we all need to address.
Mhm.
Money is still a big stigma in our society. To talk about money, it is still looked down upon. People still, don't want to do it that openly. So even, how much money one makes is a very,
Yeah,
touchy topic still.
yeah, yeah.
And I mean, obviously, person to person depend करती है ये बात कि, हाँ, तुम कितना comfortable हो disclose करने में. I'm not saying that you should, like, wear a,
Correct.
placard and go around telling
Yeah.
people कि तुम कितना कमाते हो. But, it has to be a topic that is still discussed more. I mean, it doesn't have to be directly discussed. You can always, have discussions around making more money, growing your money, having someone, a planner or whatever, like know where your money is coming from, where it is going, just so you know how to save it, how to grow it. So that I think at a personal level is very important for all of us, which is often overlooked. As far as the stock market is concerned, what I've observed is that people have just very different expectations from it. So बहुत सारे लोगों को लगता है that this is straight out gambling. Like यहाँ आना पता नहीं क्या होएगा. So बहुत सारे लोग उसको उस mindset से approach करते हैं. Then their mindset is very short term. They can't see beyond, the next week, the next month,
Yeah. Yeah.
quarter, or whatever. And I'd say we would kind of have technology to blame for it because, I mean, that's a big part
Yeah.
of it. Because
Yeah.
when you think about it, everything is in your phone now. Like, अगर मुझे देखना है कि आज मेरा पोर्टफोलियो कितना डाउन है, 5 मिनट
Correct.
मेरा पोर्टफोलियो कितना डाउन है, 5 मिनट बाद मेरा
Correct.
कितना अप है, I
Correct.
can have a look at it right now. And
Yeah.
obviously, I'm going to be affected by it.
Right.
So, unless, unlike the, I would say, where, nobody even knows what's happening to
Yeah.
their shares, where they're
Yeah.
kept. So that is a big, factor, obviously, because we as a generation are also impulsive and we don't have that long driven mindset. So I think these, I would say, are the two basic problems that, people view it as gambling. They think that, this is jua straight out. And the second thing that, they have a very short-term mindset around it. कि मैं आ रहा हूँ, बस मुझे थोड़े से पैसे कमाने हैं, मुझे इसको डबल करना है, मुझे इसको वो करना है. So ये दोनों issues हैं. And it's kind of like a more mental game. People think, people have to sit with the big records of companies and analyze them, make data and this and that to actually come to the conclusion whether you should invest in a company or not. But it's actually more mental than, analytical. Because यहाँ पर अगर आपने अपने emotions को control कर लिया and, you have some sort of basic conviction that you know is required, I think you'll make money here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, nobody talks about the mental side of it. Nobody talks about the, you know, the side of it that requires you to control your emotions. But it
Emotions.
बहुत depend करता है. Like a lot of it depends on it. Like what, I mean, an investment that could be in loss today can be like 30% appreciated next month. That's actually how much, time it takes to move. But I mean, हमें ये realize नहीं होती चीज. So I
I
think
think you hit the nail when you mentioned about that the fact that discussing money is still a stigma in Indian culture. Like I was surprised when you said that you started off by sorting out finances for your friends and family, because that's a huge achievement. Because when you start something like coaching or personal finance sorting, I think the most difficult people to open up to you would be say your first or second cousins to tell you कि boss मैं इतना कमाती हूँ या इतना कमाता हूँ ले तू संभाल. So that's very difficult, and I think it's a very important part that needs to be fixed in India when it comes to something like personal finance. Also coming back,
actually, you know,
yeah, yeah, please.
so I mean, it's kind of difficult also, and somewhere, there is kind of trust there also in
Yeah,
your close circle. So there are both sides to it. Like
yeah,
at some, I'm sure in some households, it's like a very,
yeah, transparent.
yeah, transparent,
Yeah,
setting. But in some, households, it's still like in India, it's like, oh, nahi, 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 matlab family,
Mhm.
pata nahi, ye
Yeah,
sab,
yeah,
sab.
yeah.
So both sides to it, actually. But wherever and whoever you trust, it's about that. Some people are probably, better off trusting strangers with money, because then you have like a strictly
Mm,
professional relationship.
mm,
And or
mm,
to be honest, I'm one of those people. If
mm,
I were to hire a financial planner, I think it would be somebody who nobody knows. Like that's just me as a person.
mm,
But maybe for some people, it's someone close in their family. Because I still think that at the end of the day, it is a professional relationship between you
mm.
and whoever your
Correct.
financial planner is. So the more professional it's kept, the more transparent it's kept.
Mm,
I think utna hi better hai. But that's just
mm.
me as a person. You might have a completely
Yeah,
different opinion.
yeah,
And that's why it's personal finance. I
yeah.
think.
I think it's like therapy, some people are better off feeling calm when they discuss their personal issues with a stranger who's open to no judgment kind of a scenario. And some
Yeah.
people I think are better off ranting to their friends. But yeah, to each his own. I mean, personal is gonna be there. Okay, moving on to asset allocation kind of a perspective. So, do you think, okay, we discussed about what you think are the two major obstacles Indian culture is facing today with respect to that. But going a little bit micro into it, what are the deeper problems? Like people who are aware about it, aware about that fact that they have to sort their finances out, are they not open to, say, either giving fees to someone, or B, when they're open with it, is it that they are not of the what do I say mindset that इतना पैसा होना ही चाहिए अगर मेरे को invest करना है. For instance, I have someone say who's living in Bombay but उसका खुद का घर है, family के साथ रहता है, and that is where both of them, the person A and person A lives in Bombay, दोनों सेम काम करते हैं, and person A का घर है everything, so उसके पास से monthly disposable income कुछ बच जाती है 40-50 thousand. But because person B को रेंट पे रहना है, खुद को पैसा देना है and everything, so उसके पास disposable income से 10-15 हजार ही बचता है. So this person B might have a mindset कि अब इतने पैसे में क्या ही invest करूं मैं. So is it also another problem that financial planners have to deal with today, or I think we've crossed that stage long back?
No, you're definitely right. People think कि अच्छा मुझे अगर invest करना start करना है तो
Hmm.
I need like a lot of money. कि
Hmm.
मतलब अच्छा 10 लाख होने चाहिए, 15 लाख होनी चाहिए.
Hmm.
Whereas it's not like that. I think
Hmm.
my first investment was probably like, I don't know, maybe 5,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees. Because
Hmm.
at whenever anyone is starting, nobody trusts it so much कि तुम इतना पैसा एक साथ डाल दो. So I
Hmm.
think a monthly contribution, whatever that an individual can make, is the best way to do it.
Right.
थोड़ा सा डिसाइडेड पैसा हर महीने जाएगा तो उस इंसान की हैबिट बनती है.
Hmm.
And then once they have trust in the stock market, they have trust in the process, they can obviously increase their contribution or maybe deploy a big chunk of it at once. थोड़ा सा एक portion, but definitely even 1,000 rupees is worth investing. एंड है तो बेसिक मैथ्स बट कभी कोई एक्सेल
Hmm.
पे जाके करता नहीं है कि how
Hmm.
compounding works, how much something can be after 20-30 years, because nobody's thinking about 20-30 years later.
Hmm.
At least in our generation, nobody's thinking.
Hmm.
So I would recommend everyone कि even if it's like 100 रुपए का भी शेयर आता है, मतलब 1 शेयर
Hmm.
आता है, या फिर
Hmm.
कोई म्यूचुअल फंड का यूनिट आता है, कुछ डेट आता
Hmm.
है, कुछ गोल्ड आता है, कुछ भी आता है. So
Hmm.
it's not about how much you are investing, it's how consistently you are investing. Because this
Hmm.
process works best when you do it every month, or
Hmm.
every week, or whatever your frequency.
Hmm.
But
Right.
change should not break. It's
Right.
basic thesis behind it. It doesn't matter कि 1,000 रुपए इन्वेस्ट करें या 5,000 रुपए करें या 5 लाख करें. Obviously उससे तुम्हारे टोटल कॉर्पस पे फर्क पड़ेगा. But compounding works on any number, and it kind of works on zero also. If it's zero, then you end up with zero.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
way it works on, it works on any number. It's sure to multiply your money in 20
Hmm.
30. I mean, especially that period of 20 to 40 years, that's where the compounding,
Hmm.
it's real
Hmm.
magic. It kind
Hmm.
of just explodes. I mean, I recommend everyone to sit down with an Excel sheet for 5 minutes and see
Hmm.
how it kind of progresses in
Hmm.
year 20 to 40. And I have done it for some people कि आओ देखते हैं कि क्या
Hmm.
होता है
Hmm.
तुम्हारे का. And
Hmm.
nobody knows it, obviously, because every nobody has kind of done it. So sit down today, Google, kind of just put on Google compounding calculator and see what happens. I mean, it will kind of change your perspective, your whole idea about the whole thing.
Hmm.
So, this is, you're right, this is a big issue कि अच्छा मैं 1,000 रुपए invest करूं सिर्फ.
Hmm.
But it's more about building that habit to do it
Hmm.
every month, or
Yeah.
than deploying large amount of money. कोई भी
Yeah.
इतना शुरू में इतना ट्रस्ट नहीं होता किसी को कि वो
Hmm.
जाके बोलेगे अच्छा मेरे पास तो 10 लाख पड़े हैं तो मैं सीधा डाल रहा हूँ,
Hmm. Yeah.
especially newbie.
Hmm.
So making that monthly habit is what
Hmm.
will eventually, benefit you.
Hmm.
That's about it.
Yeah, I think discipline and consistency is the key everywhere in every field of life. But again, I have some peers who are not in the direct financial scene, but because of me or because of my co-friends around, co-workers around, they started investing into say stocks, MFs or the like. So one persistent issue that I keep hearing from them is say आज मैंने उनको we sitting and after research हमने एक stock एक mutual fund खरीद लिया at XYZ rupees say 100 rupees पे खरीदा. Now, after a certain period of time, when that NAV or that price reaches doubles, they are, very, very impatient to exit it. Whereas people who are in the financial scene, they know, buy right, sit, hold. अगर जरूरत नहीं है मत निकालो, let it compound. Whereas their perspective is कि यार पैसा profit हो रहा है निकालेंगे नहीं, ऐश नहीं करेंगे तो क्या फायदा है. So compounding hampers, and that I feel is still one issue that is being faced for people who are not in the direct scene. So what are your thoughts on that?
Definitely. यार वही मतलब, as I said, it's we as a generation are impulsive. So we want to, kind of take what is ours,
Hmm.
want to wait it out. But this is like a big debate because see, uh,
Yeah.
even if you live, well below your means, you लाइफ अपनी सेविंग्स को इन्वेस्ट करते रहे, आप बहुत ही मिनिमल स्पेंड करा, सब कुछ सेव करा, इन्वेस्ट करा. It is true that at the end of the day, imagine you're 65 or 70 or 80, you have a lot of money, but you haven't
Hmm.
enjoyed it.
Enjoy.
So that line, I mean, that I think still is a very valid point, that
Hmm.
it doesn't make sense to accumulate all that capital, not enjoy it, and what? Maybe pass it on to somebody. So,
Hmm.
I mean, what use did you put your money to? So,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, you weren't able to make yourself happy with it, kind of, But,
Hmm.
for someone, that may be their end goal. They may
Hmm.
just want to, end up have a big, bank account balance to admire and be very happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, I think, that part comes into it कि ये सबके लिए एक बहुत ही personal question है
Hmm.
कि okay, what do you want to do with your money? Somebody may say यार मेरे को तो Ferrari खरीदनी है
Hmm.
and मेरे को उसी से खुशी मिलेगी,
Hmm.
and that is fine, I mean, for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the lines get blurred here because even when I'm a financial planner for someone, and I kind of want to tell them that you should do this with your money.
Hmm.
But after a point, I realized that I kind of have no right to do that. What I'm doing is that I'm making life simpler and happier for my client. So it is
Hmm.
kind of about them being able to do what they want to do with their money.
Hmm.
Obviously, stupid decisions aside,
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm just talking about, there is fine balance between making your money, growing your money, and, even enjoying it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I mean, obviously, I'm not talking about splurging,
Hmm.
Like your friend in this case probably wants to, just get out of the investment and
Yeah.
probably spend it on places that doesn't require expenditure.
Hmm.
That's kind of premature,
Yeah.
Uh, that's going to hamper his compounding process.
Yeah.
That's going to minimize his returns in the future. So that is a, aspect to it. But there has to be money is, there to serve you. Uh,
Hmm.
so I think we forget that also.
Hmm.
So there is a fine line between not enjoying it at all, enjoying it too much,
Hmm.
and making yourself happy with it.
Hmm.
So that's about it. That being
Yeah.
said, हाँ, हमारा mindset नहीं है चीज को रखने का. जब रखनी
Hmm.
चाहिए तो हम नहीं रख पाते.
Hmm.
और
Hmm.
वो होता ही है, वो मेरे साथ भी होता है, मतलब मेरे को तो
Hmm.
पता है. तो फिर अगर किसी
Hmm.
को नहीं पता तो वो उसके साथ
Yeah.
ऑब्वियसली होएगा.
Yeah.
And this is a big reason why people also lose money in the stock market.
Yeah.
So it is said that 97% people lose money in the stock market. It happens because of this also. Because say कि तुमने 100 रुपए पे एक स्टॉक लिया, तो और उसको 110 120 पे जाना है, बट वो 95 पे पहले जा सकता है बिफोर
हाँ.
द रन अप. बट 95 पे देखने की लोगों की हालत ही नहीं होती.
नहीं होती है.
They don't have the stomach for it.
हम्म.
मतलब या एंड मार्केट में ऐसे फेजेस आते हैं. मतलब माय पोर्टफोलियो हैज बीन डाउन at at few times कि वो at even 30%.
हम्म.
But for me to look at it and not get affected by it and have
हम्म.
faith कि ये वापस
हम्म.
आ जाएगा, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
एंड देन क्या होता है कि तुमने 100 रुपए पे स्टॉक लिया, 95 पे गया, तुमने उसको बेच दिया, अब तुम्हारे पास 95 रह गए, अब तुमने कुछ और लिया, अब वो नीचे गया और तुमने फिर से वो भी बेच दिया. So
हम्म.
people lose their capital making impulsive decisions, and
हम्म.
capital which probably would is invested in good assets only, कि वो
हम्म.
रिटर्न देता ही. But people think of it as a fixed deposit. The stock market is
हम्म.
not a fixed deposit.
हम्म.
If a stock has to go from 100 to 200, there's no
Yeah.
guarantee that it won't go to 50 first.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
happens. It happens a lot of times.
Lot of times. Yeah. हम्म.
So somebody who can guide you through that emotions, I think somebody who can tell you कि भाई
हम्म.
ठीक हो जाएगा. All it requires is
हम्म.
time. If you get that aspect into it, it changes the game for you mentally. But that is the tough part.
हम्म. Do you think these impulsive decisions come out of FOMO? Like, is that for real? Is that happening a lot
It comes
today?
out of fear of losing your money, definitely.
Hmm.
Because once you think कि अच्छा यार मैंने 100 रुपए डाले थे 95 रह गए हैं,
Hmm.
तो ये तो
Hmm.
ले लूं, ये भी ना चले जाए. मतलब
Hmm.
it comes out of that. एंड ऑब्वियसली तुम्हें लगता है कि यार अच्छा एक हॉट स्टॉक में वो पैसे कमा रहा है मेरा दोस्त, तो चलो अब मैं उधर जाके वो कर लेता हूँ.
Hmm.
You pull out your good investments, you'll go invest in something which is being
Yeah.
just talked about. Okay, oh, LIC is coming out. Oh,
Yeah.
all the hype is, this stock, and everybody's going there. So, and everybody will make money there. So let me also go there. But obviously, then it just kind of FOMO never works.
Yeah.
So a lot of part of, I mean, you have to manage your greed also. You can't be so greedy. Okay. Because see, you have a limited amount of capital. Everybody has a limited amount of capital. So they can only deploy it so many places. You
Hmm.
put your money everywhere.
Yeah.
कि मैं
Hmm.
सारे stocks खरीद लेता हूँ, वो नहीं कर सकते तो. So sometimes, FOMO is bound to hit you. But I mean, just if you can stay put in your investments, you'll kind of, you have better chance of making money
Hmm.
than just going everywhere, chasing every
Hmm.
hot stock. That kind of
Hmm.
works. The most fundamentally strong stocks are not even talked about. Nobody is talking about investment because it's so, conventional.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
so something that, when people are
Hmm.
not talking, they're just doing.
It's become old. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Hmm.
see, I mean, they have always been there. The most
Yeah.
strong stocks have been there for 10 years. They've been there
Yeah.
for 15 years. They were there for 20 years. Nobody's talking about them right now because
Yeah.
it's not the new thing in town.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if you go back to the market leaders who have been like 15, 20 years in the business, they've consistently, done their work, generated profits. You have better chances of making money there.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
everybody wants to buy the oversubscribed IPO.
Hmm. Yeah.
That is the tragedy of it.
Yeah, IPOs remind me, what is your take on MSMEs? Like, it's the hot buzz today. I mean, so many SME IPOs today. The exchange is flourishing. Any thoughts on them? Like, do you think they are the new, what do I say? So, a lot of us like look at say small caps and mid caps to, slowly, gradually tend towards the large cap segment, and that is where we seek for that alpha or that growth. A lot of people today are correlating SMEs in that particular manner कि तुम यार जितना तुम मिड से लार्ज में कमा पाओगे उससे ज्यादा तुम SME से जब वो मेन बोर्ड पे आएगा वहां पे you'll be able to generate. And I work in the alternate space, right? So a lot of AIFs today are also coming up who are investing into these SMEs today. So what is your take on them?
See, I think I would say small cap stock picking is hard.
Hmm.
Like nobody gets it right, right off the bat.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of experience knowing, it takes a lot of skin in the game. It's not for everyone. It's definitely not for someone
Hmm.
who's like part-time into it.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different game. That is one point to it, according to me. And the other point is that it completely depends on somebody's risk profile. It might make it might make sense for somebody to take risk in order to, invest in these companies that have, a lot of potential while they're going from maybe 10 to 100.
Hmm.
They've made the journey from 0 to 10. Now
Yeah.
there's a lot of money to be made from 10 to 100. But not all of those companies make it to
Hmm.
10 to 100.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they get stuck. I mean, that is
Yeah.
why, small cap picking is like so hard. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's so less talked about because even people
Mm,
who are fully invested in it, fully in the game, don't get it right a lot of the time.
mm, mm,
So, I mean, look at your risk profile, look at whether it makes sense for you to do it. Obviously, you can allocate, I mean, asset allocation comes into the play here.
mm,
कि तुम ये कितने पैसों के साथ कितनी रिस्क ले रहे हो is a very important
mm,
aspect of investing, which we overlook.
yeah.
Let's say, for example, I'm going to go back to this where everybody was like, abhi thode time pehle, blaming influencers for something like cryptocurrency or
Yeah.
whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you have to see where you stand versus where they stand.
Mm,
An influencer might have money to throw and they'll be like कि, okay, मैं इस
mm,
क्रिप्टो करेंसी में इन्वेस्ट कर देता हूँ शायद पैसे
mm,
डबल हो जाए.
mm,
But the point that we don't realize is that उनको फर्क नहीं पड़ता अगर वो जीरो भी चले
हाँ,
हो.
correct. Correct.
Do you have that kind of money कि तुम्हें फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि वो zero हो जाए,
Hmm.
you know? So this is what we overlook.
Hmm.
कि दूसरे की रिस्क पोजीशन क्या है वर्सेस तुम्हारी क्या है.
Hmm.
Obviously, the first thing I'm kind of thinking is can you afford to? I mean, should
Hmm.
you? Is it wise for you to,
Hmm.
take that risk with your money? And, for somebody, it might make all the sense to,
Hmm.
because they have that kind of risk. They don't care if their money goes
Hmm.
to zero. But for most of the people, I mean, if your aim is to just like, consistently grow your money, why
Hmm.
would you kind of put it in a gamble? I mean, why would you
Hmm.
kind of put it somewhere you don't know what's going to happen?
Hmm.
You don't understand the industry. Nobody knows, you know.
Hmm.
So it doesn't make sense there.
Hmm.
But for that influencer who has like a lot of money or like, money lying around and
Hmm.
doesn't matter. I mean, maybe it
Yeah.
goes, well, maybe it goes to zero. Either ways, they don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is what everybody overlooks.
Yeah. What's your take on asset allocation? So I know it's very, very subjective, depends on what your liquidity is, what your financial position is. But ideal asset allocation for someone like me, say who's 28-year-old, has no financial liabilities as such, ideal asset allocation क्या होना चाहिए?
If okay, let's say I'm gonna talk about a 25-year-old here, just to,
Okay. Yeah.
keep a baseline bench line here. Let's say a 25-year-old does not need to support their parents,
Hmm.
they don't need to do
Hmm.
that. They don't have a lot of family obligations right now. They're not
Hmm.
married.
Hmm.
A lot of
Hmm.
expenses are not, already
Yeah.
not, slated to go as far, money is not expected to go as soon as it comes. So let's say we're talking about this individual. The first question when they if somebody comes to me and they ask about asset allocation is I ask them like, how are you as a person? I mean, would you define yourself as a very, when it comes to money, are you very scared of to lose it? Are you, do you want to take some risk, or, what do you want to do? And, it starts with that. That is definitely the first question.
Hmm.
Then if they say, okay, I mean, I'm open to taking some risk, but I want to save some money. I don't want to go all out on the risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then that's where the asset allocation comes into play.
Yeah.
So some risk, the way to kind of lessen your risk is kind of investing in debt and gold. I mean, that
Hmm.
I see.
Correct. Correct.
Those are the two best options to kind of lessen the risk.
Correct.
But I would say if you are young with no major obligations, a lot of your money should go into equity.
Yeah.
So a large proportion of it has to go into equity because over a long period of time वो ही तुम्हें सबसे ज्यादा रिटर्न देगा.
Hmm.
तो अगर तुम वो रिस्क ले सकते हो तुम्हें वो लेना चाहिए.
Hmm.
So I mean a very famous rule comes into play here, which is the 100 minus age rule
Yeah.
to
Correct.
determine what your equity,
Yeah.
percentage should be. But that's also very,
Subjective.
subjective rule.
Yeah.
It doesn't apply to everybody.
Hmm.
So let's say according to this rule के अगर तुम्हें अपनी इक्विटी की परसेंटेज डिसाइड करनी है तो तुम अपनी एज को 100 से माइनस कर दो. तो 100 minus 25 is 75%, and 75% of your monthly investments should go to equity. That is
Hmm.
one way to do it. So now you have a benchmark. Okay,
Hmm.
75% is kind of,
Yeah.
now you have to see कि तुम इंसान कैसे हो. Somebody maybe you be like कि नहीं यार 75% तो ज्यादा लग रहा
Yeah.
है, थोड़ा सा और पैसा लेस रिस्की एसेट्स में इन्वेस्ट करना है.
Yeah.
मैं अपनी परसेंटेज को 65 लेके जा रही हूँ.
कर दूंगा. Hmm.
फिर अच्छा 35 जा रहा है डेट और गोल्ड में,
Hmm.
और मे बी एफडी में, whatever. और फिर एंड somebody might be like यार मैं अभी रिस्क नहीं लूंगा तो कब लूंगा, मतलब
कब
यही तो
लूंगा.
है रिस्क लेने का. तो मैं तो अपना सारा पैसा इक्विटी में.
Hmm. Hmm.
So people are like that also, and like to
Hmm.
give you a very personal example, I till date do not make
Hmm.
investments out of equity. So I'm 100
Oh,
equity
okay.
person. Uh,
Okay.
and I'm extreme, like
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
Not a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
But I still do it because I have so much trust in the process.
Hmm.
But it's not for everyone.
Hmm.
So let's say if you were to ask me what advice I would give to you, 80%, 80 to 85% of your money should
Go into equities.
according to me. Now,
Yeah.
the next part which comes is that are you comfortable doing that?
Hmm.
And that might have a completely different answer. But
Yeah.
from a strictly professional,
Hmm.
financial
Grounds. Yeah.
grounds, I would say go for it. I mean, why not? If not now, then
Yeah.
when?
Yeah. I mean, also looking at the valuations today, I think a lot of people who are savvy and who are financially educated, they're saying this only if not now, then when. I mean, also looking at India growth story, I think it's gonna boom exponentially. And
It's
I mean, yeah,
crazy. So, like yesterday, I was reading that, the how the middle class income from in India has grown from, I think, 3.3 lakhs to 14 lakhs in the last 10 years. And
wow, okay.
this is what is changing India. So,
Hmm,
let's say I see that in the next 10 years, this will probably be from 14 lakhs to, maybe 25 to 30 lakhs.
25, yeah.
एंड यू हैव टू आस्क योरसेल्फ कि इस प्रोसेस में कौन सी वो इंडस्ट्रीज हैं जो सबसे ज्यादा
Hmm,
बेनिफिट करेंगी, कौन
hmm,
से वो सेक्टर्स हैं.
hmm,
एंड नाउ यू हैव टू आस्क कि अच्छा क्या होगा जब लोगों की इनकम्स राइज होंगी. दे विल स्टार्ट मेकिंग न्यू बैंक अकाउंट्स, दे विल start taking more things on EMI, they will have
hmm,
credit cards, they will have more
hmm,
disposable income. So the banking sector will obviously benefit. They will
right.
consume more products, they will consume more everyday products. You will go for shampoos, you will go for
Hmm,
beauty products, this and that.
yeah,
So the consumer durables in the FMCG space is also
correct,
fit.
correct.
So
Hmm,
people are going to upgrade their lifestyles. People are going to graduate from scooters to cars so that the
hmm,
auto sector will benefit.
yeah.
And now that you know कि अच्छा ये कंपनी बेनिफिट करेगी, तो now you have to see ये इंडस्ट्री
Hmm,
बेनिफिट करेगी. तो अब तुम्हें वो कंपनीज को आइडेंटिफाई करना है जो बेस्ट पोजीशन में है उस इंडस्ट्री में
COVID.
to
Hmm,
capitalize on this opportunity.
hmm,
If you're able to do that, I mean, you are
yeah.
kind of
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the India growth story, see it's not going to grow without the support of the banks. So financials are going to be there. FMCG, maybe COVID or no COVID, people will need a shampoo, they will need a soap. So that's going to grow alongside. So well put. But again, coming to sectors, I'm also reminded of, say, the booming tech or the IT sector. And usse mein relate kar rahi hu AI. How do you think, where will AI take us like 10, 12, 20 years down the line? Do you think that AI will become an industry in itself? Or we are still, lagging thoda bahut wahan pe?
it is an industry already.
Yeah, okay.
It is integrating into technology.
Hmm.
And nobody kind of knows how that's going to happen. Like it is an
Hmm.
industry, and now it's
Hmm.
making itself a part of the technological industry, and that
Hmm.
integration is happening.
Hmm.
But nobody knows what it looks like, you
Hmm.
know. And I am though from a non-tech background, so मेरे
Hmm.
को और भी नहीं पता.
Hmm.
Something very interesting I heard, and it was like it kind of struck a chord with me. Somebody said that AI will not replace, your job. A
Hmm.
person who knows how to use AI
Yeah,
properly.
yeah.
So just like how an entire generation of maybe our parents or grandparents had to go through that कि अच्छा यार मेरे को सीखना है कि मोबाइल फोन कैसे चलाना है, या
Hmm.
ये सीखना है, मुझे वो सीखना है. I think that shift is going to happen. Like,
Hmm.
our generation is going to learn how to be
Hmm.
equipped with these tools, with
Hmm.
these, a lot of different things to kind of catch up with whatever comings next.
Hmm.
So it
Right.
is definitely already an industry, there's no question about that. But how it integrates into society, I think everybody is kind of wanting to know that part of it.
Right. Perfect. Keeping the attention span of my listeners in mind, I'll have to forcefully conclude this no matter how insightful this is going. But I would love to end it with one question that I personally want to hear. How has the 10-year journey been? We began with this, I want to end with this. It's been a decade you've been in the financial markets. You've seen a lot of calm, a lot of chaos, a lot of volatility. How has that been, and what has made you stick to it no matter what?
I think, wow, never thought about it. But it's kind of, how the I mean the stock market is like, how the seasons change.
Hmm.
It is that extreme a place
Hmm.
when you look at it from a short-term perspective. But in the
Hmm.
long run, it is a very beautiful place to be. And that is my takeaway from this journey. That when I compare it to like 10 years, what was happening 10 years prior, the same thing is happening and it will continue to happen.
Hmm.
But the seasons within a decade
Hmm.
are different. There's a bull run, there's a bear run, there's a consolidation phase, there's, all of these seasons are different. But at the end of the day, the view at the end of the day is good,
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
beautiful. So I
Hmm.
think biggest takeaway 10 years is this, that, stop fixating on this month, on this week,
Hmm.
on Fridays, one
Closing.
correction, on
Yeah.
Fridays
Yeah.
closing, on Mondays
Yeah.
opening, and
Yeah.
what the Singapore Nifty is doing or
Yeah.
exchange Nifty is doing to determine what will happen in India Nifty and the bond rates, and there's
Hmm.
so much happening on an everyday basis that we
Hmm.
are too consumed.
Hmm.
If you want to make money in the stock market, just switch off the news. I mean, I would say
Hmm.
don't look at it. Invest in your fundamentally strong companies and keep on
Hmm.
doing it. And if you can integrate technicals into it, because that tells
Yeah.
you कि एक stock कितना overpriced या underpriced है.
Correct.
But even if you can't do that, just keep on investing every single month. And
Correct.
after 10 years, you are going to be somewhere where you can't even imagine.
Hmm.
So the first crore is the most difficult,
Hmm. Yeah.
everybody's
Hmm.
heard that. But
Yeah.
the compounding gets easier
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Perfect. Perfect. So, I mean, thanks for concluding this very beautifully. I'll just end it with my signature rapid fire round. So, 5 words, and we're done. I'll
Five
start with the
questions.
first. Yeah, five words or phrases. Okay, so the first would be personal finance.
Mm, wow. Mm,
It's rapid.
yeah. Okay. Personal finance, scary.
Okay. Estate planning.
Estate planning, very essential in today's time.
Okay. Tax planning.
Boring.
Okay. Fourth one being ZEVO.
Very exciting times ahead.
Okay. And the last being Dhruv.
Mm, changing like the market.
Ah, that's a nice one. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Thanks, Dhruv, for doing this. I
Thank
really
you, Charmi, for
appreciate it.
having me.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.